lost 205 pounds. I had one ribeye a day, 4 days, and I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but my depression lifted. And I felt good for the first time in 4 months. Addicted to caffeine, sugar, and nicotine. And when I went carnivore, all those things went away. And about a year ago, my body just said, hey, we're not doing this nicotine. You need that meat, you need that fat. You've got to get away from that sugar and that processed garbage.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our videos. If you'd like to support us some more, you can explore our homemade natural skincare products at purelytallow.com. Thank you so much for supporting my small business. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Carnivore Revolution. I'm Serena, and today my guest is Todd. Todd has an amazing podcast and YouTube channel called the Carnivore Cure, and he has had some amazing results with the Carnivore Diet. So Todd, let's start with your story, and then we'll move from there.
Sure, absolutely. Let's see. As of today, I'm 22, going on 23 months carnivore. Was in kind of a rough place 23 months ago. Was over 715 pounds. I'd been kind of housebound for about 2.5 years. Got COVID. Things got pretty serious after getting COVID. Up with congestive heart failure. Could be put on oxygen. Things were not looking very bright. And just kind of went from there. Was kind of always in the middle of trying to find something that was going to get my weight down. I was 600 pounds when I was 14 years old, and I'd always fought weight, didn't know what it was, but always had a hard time keeping the weight off. Always tried to stay moving, tried to keep it off, but that worked for a while for me getting much more out of hand. I'm an electrician by trade, so I was always working in the field, and then things kind of escalated when I got moved to the office. That's a little more sedentary, and the insulin resistance caught up with me even more so, and health kind of started going downhill over a period of time, and everything kind of came to a head in 2006. My dad got leukemia, and he was not looking good because he had some stuff going on. My brother, I got an infection from being misdiagnosed the wrong medication when he had a virus, and it spread to his heart from his lungs, and he ended up having 13 heart attacks when he was 38, and it ruined his heart.
Oh my goodness.
And then my wife out there was having some issues, and she left and left me right then. And then I was sick, and Ty died, and then Dad died 11 days later. And so things were pretty rough. I had always had pretty bad depression, anxiety, and so kind of at a crossroads. I was looking for a reason to fight again, type of thing, with reason to keep going. Can you hear that at all? That's my dog barking.
No, I can't hear it at all. That's all right. We like dogs.
Sorry, I have Chris on to try to cancel it out. I just wasn't sure it was working.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, back. Yeah. So I was kind of looking for a reason to kind of find a reason to fight again. And I'd just been in the ICU myself because I always had reactive airway disease since I was 18 years old. I was having asthma issues. Been in the ICU several times getting oxygen and things for that. And so that was kind of what began it, because my mom had gastric bypass surgery. My sister had lap band surgery. Wow. And my other brother had MS. And I was kind of tired of our family all being plagued with health problems.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe I can get this figured out. And I was trying to think of anything that I could do to start making a change. And so I stopped drinking sodas and things, and I stopped drinking any calories, which is where I started. And then that kind of put me on a trail from there. I did that for about a year. And then I went on a high protein, low fat, medium carbohydrate diet, moderate carbohydrate diet for about 14 months, which was weightlifter's diet. And that made me pretty miserable. Calorie restrictive,
Mm-hmm.
count macros.
Yep.
I did that for 14 months. My depression went through the roof. I was very, very suicidal. Didn't know why. Always had fought that problem, but um, actually, I felt like I was going to fall off the wagon if I didn't do something.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a way to make chicken breast not dry.
That's tough. Literally.
Yeah, really tough because that was the majority of my meat.
Yeah.
And so I looked up how to best way to cook chicken breasts. Pulled up a deal on sous vide cooking. So I started watching these guys on YouTube called Sous Vide Everything. I ordered a sous vide machine because I was like, I can't eat. I've been eating dried chicken breast for 14 months and I couldn't do it again. And so I ordered that, but when I was watching these guys' channel, they kept sous videing picanha steak and ribeyes and then searing it in butter. It
Uh-huh.
was making me really want a ribeye. And so when the sous vide machine got here, I went and got four ribeye steaks from Costco. And I was like, before I go back to just dried chicken, I'm going to eat these four ribeye steaks, one a day, seared in butter, and then that's all I'm going to have. And it'll be kind of the same macros roughly, be a little bit higher, but it won't be mad, or at least calorie wise, it was way higher in fat and lower in carbs. I was like, at least calorie wise, I'm not going too off the rails, and I'm going to have this. And uh, in that 4 days, I had one ribeye a day, 4 days, and I had no idea what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
But my depression lifted.
Interesting.
And I felt good for the first time in 4 months, and in 14 months, and I didn't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt really good. And I lost like 9 or 10 pounds or something in that. No, it was 11 pounds in that
Amazing.
4 days. And I didn't know why, but I felt good. I had a lot more energy and I wasn't depressed and I was sleeping better. So I Googled, I'm like, how is it that I'm losing weight eating ribeye steak seared in butter? Like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And it brought up keto, basically, is what it brought up.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I've heard of keto. And it was it's a blessing and a curse in a way because it took me down the keto trail for several years.
Yeah.
Which was just a yo-yo diet because then I found about all the stevia stuff and the artificial sweet, all the artificial sweeteners, the processed keto foods, trying to make all the keto, standard American diet food, but make it keto. Did that for a few years, kind of yo-yoed, and then I got COVID. Well, actually, I was finally fed up because I wasn't losing weight, wasn't getting better. My health kept declining, kind of on the yo-yo diet. My cravings weren't going away, so I kept falling off keto too every 3 months or so. I'd end up having a little relapse and going back to eating sugar and standard American diet food. And so I decided I'd read about the fella that fasted for like 400 days or something.
Yes.
Lost,
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to shoot for a 40-day fast. And so I started that, and I really hadn't fasted at all before. So that was a lofty goal.
Yeah.
And I started that. And when I started fasting, I was using water as a filler. So I kept drinking a lot of water. And as I was doing that, I made it to day 21, but I was drinking so much water that I had washed out all my electrolytes.
Yeah, that's tough.
Well, yeah, and it was real bad because it made me sick because I washed out all the potassium. And I got my potassium so low it actually messed up my blood plasma and it made my red blood cell count go down. And so I actually had to go get red blood cell injection.
Wow.
Yeah, because I knocked my potassium so low. So, and that was in 2021. And when I went in to get my red blood cell injections, I went to the hospital and my immune system was shot because of my low red blood cell count. And I caught COVID when I was in there. So when I came home, I was sick. Just started getting sick, started feeling it. Immune system was really shot. I was not in good shape. And a buddy of mine was the same age as me. I just got COVID, but he was avid hunter,
Mm.
mountain guy. He had gotten COVID a week before me, and he went in the hospital, and he died right then.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, I'm not doing that because I don't know where that's going to lead.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe in the respirator,
Good. Mhm.
remdesivir treatment,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to go get that. So I stayed at home, and it turned into pneumonia,
Oh, no.
and I ended up surviving it. And I used, ivermectin and stuff to get through it, but took a pretty nasty toll on my lungs, and it caused congestive heart failure. When that happened, and I gained 84 pounds of fluid in 3 weeks because of my heart.
My goodness.
So I swelled up way over 700 pounds, and I just got huge. I got pretty sick from that, and I just fought trying to keep the fluid off from that point on. I
Mhm.
made it. I made it about 6 months, I'd say. Trying to get the fluid off. I was drinking less. I was trying to stay on keto at the time. I was taking oregano oil and all this stuff, and
Mhm.
it was supposed to help get the fluid off, and drinking celery juice and
Mhm.
doing all these nonsense things to try to get the fluid off, but nothing was happening. But what was starting to happen was I was having to sleep in a recliner because I couldn't lay down flat because I would just get absolutely congested with the fluid that my body
Mhm.
was in my lungs. Just the congestion would make me stop breathing.
Mhm.
But even in a recliner, I could only sleep in about an hour intervals, and then I'd wake up and have a terrible headache, and I was gasping for air all the time. Didn't know it at the time, but I got sleep apnea, and my calves swelled up to over 36 inches in diameter, so they were monstrous.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was having to lift my legs up. I had to use a rope tied around my ankles and lift my legs up on a footstool so that I could try to sleep in that chair because my legs were so heavy that the recliner feet I just broke them off every time on the recliner I was sitting in. So I did that for about 6 months, and something bad happened. I must have really stopped breathing
Mhm.
for a long time in the night because I woke up and I had the worst headache I'd ever had, and I was very confused and disoriented, and
Mhm.
uh, it was the worst headache I'd ever had from stopping breathing. And usually I would get my bearings back about me in about 10 minutes of solid
Mhm.
breathing. My senses would come back to me, but this time it just didn't. It was 6 hours later. I was still confused, and I couldn't speak very well. I couldn't string together sentences, and
Mhm.
couldn't figure out what's going on. So I ended up having to call an ambulance, which was no easy task.
Yeah.
Ambulance and a lot of firefighters.
Yeah.
And I went to the emergency room, and they don't know for sure, but they think I had a stroke
Mhm.
because I didn't fit in an MRI machine. They couldn't take an MRI away. They couldn't tell me for certain. But they did put me in the ICU, and they took off. I'm trying to think how much, but I think it was like 64, 68 pounds of fluid out of me in the 11 days that I was there. And they did a bunch of tests, and that's when they confirmed that I had congestive heart failure, COVID lung, all these things, sleep apnea, and all these. And so when I was there, I was still trying to eat keto when I was there, and I had them bringing me burger patties. And they said, okay, fine. And they never talked about my diet at all when I was there.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
they didn't care. They just told me that when I got out of there, I had to I had to go see a pulmonologist, and I had to go see a sleep specialist, and I had to get set up with home oxygen, and they just gave me a list of a cardiologist, and a special heart doctor after that, a special lung doctor after that, and all these things. And so after 11 days, they sent me home with a list I had 5 new medications on top of Advair and all this crap that I was already taking, inhalers, Advair, gout medication. They gave me blood pressure medication, just all this stuff, and blood thinners, and sent me home with a list of wheel appointments that I was going to have to make in the future.
Mhm.
Go see specialists. And so, yeah, I got home, and It just reminded me of my dad and my brother. I watched my dad have all these appointments and see all these specialists and get sent home with all this medication. And he just got sicker and sicker. He started taking more and more medications. And it was the beginning of the long end. And same for my brother Ty. He had his heart thing. He went to the nursing home. They gave him more drugs until he just passed away in the nursing home for a heart transplant. Watch him get gastric bypass, and that was supposed to be the saving grace, and it didn't work for her. And she ended up with Parkinson's, and I'm just taking care of her right now, you know. And so, yeah, I just never seen anybody get better going down this road of medications. And so I got home and I just threw everything in garbage. I'm like, not doing any of this. I'm either going to get healthy and, you know, with diet, or I'm just going to die. You know, it's just going to be the way it is. And so I just cracked my Bible and I started reading. You know, I'm Christian. I was prayed for these things. So I just gave it to God and read my Bible every night and decided I was going to do real strict keto at the time. So I started with I started with taco salads, and now I couldn't stand for 90 seconds at a time. You know, I couldn't hardly move. I was on home oxygen, and things just started coming together. I ordered some tables to put around my chair with a mini fridge and an air fryer so that I could just do everything right there close by.
That's amazing.
Kind of an environment. I had it worked out where I could have the window open. I had a bench by the window, and the Instacart guy would bring me my meat. And
That's amazing. Where there's a will, there's a way.
There was. It was like, I'm going to have to build an environment that I can work on here. So I did that and was making these taco salads, but I wasn't feeling a ton better. But I started measuring my ketones at the time, and I could never get into ketosis at all, never. And so I just started cutting things out. First, I cut the seasoning out for the meat, and then I was having some salsa. You know, I was still paying attention to my carbs, but I just couldn't get into ketosis. And then I cut out the cheese because like, there's some carbs in cheese. I cut out the cheese. Pretty soon I was down to just ground beef and kale. That's what I was eating.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't even like kale. This doesn't taste good. And so I took the kale away and I just added eggs. So I was eating ground beef and eggs. And then I still had a problem because I'd stopped drinking calories, but I was still drinking diet drinks. And so it's like, well, it could be this diet drink. So I got rid of all the diet drinks, and I had to wean off of that because that was actually my worst addiction was diet. So, and so I had to wean off that. But Dr. Bert at the time, because I was watching everything keto at the time, he had a kind of a recipe for sparkling water with volcanic lemon juice and electrolyte powder. And so I used all that. I made like a electrolyte lemon juice. And I did that for 5.5 weeks, just eating ground beef and eggs. And lo and behold, everything kind of clicked. And I had no more cravings for anything, you know. And I've talked about this a lot too, because right in there too, I started having huge anxiety attacks about 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, a couple things happened too. One, my dad had passed away, but he had a CPAP, and for some reason, I guess the medical system didn't realize that he passed away, so they sent him out a brand new CPAP. It was time to re-up it. Well, I had gone to I had the home oxygen people came out and they had me on 6 liters of oxygen. And at this time, I was 715-ish pounds. I was stuck in that chair. I was taking 6 liters of oxygen a day. And even on the 6 liters of oxygen, my oxygen saturation was only 88%. And that was not moving. And on breathing 6 liters of oxygen in, my resting heart rate was 107 beats a minute at that time. It was tachycardic at all times. And so I ended up finding this. In the mail came a brand new CPAP machine that they'd sent to my dad because his had been recalled. So they sent him a replacement. And so I just looked up online because I knew I was still stopping breathing at night. So I looked up online how to program this thing and how to figure out the the pressure variances because it's one of those ones that kind of would ramp up and were variable. And so I looked it up and I just ended up programming it myself and playing with it for a few nights and using it until I got where I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, I started finally sleeping, and I had
Amazing.
realized that I don't know how long it had been, but I haven't been sleeping in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And hadn't been getting into REM sleep. I found that out because on day 2, I slept for about 3 hours. And when I woke up, I actually thought that I had slept for over a day. I thought it was the next day.
Wow.
And I thought I'd slept for like 15 hours because I thought it was like 10 in the morning. And it turned out that it was still 9 at night the day before. And so, anyways, I realized that it's been a very long time since I've been in REM sleep. I think
Yeah.
was what was happening. So that started helping. But then I started having that 3:30 a.m. cortisol kick in when I was trying to get off the sugar and carbs, well, mainly the carbs, and I would start having anxiety attacks. And they were really bad. So I ended up having to kind of make a bargain with myself because it was throwing me out of whack there for a while. And I came up with a bargain. I was like, all right, when you feel like this, you just have to go eat bacon and eggs because bacon and eggs were the quickest thing that I could cook. And I knew that I'd read enough to find out that I didn't have leptin sensitivity, but I did have appetite control and the stretch markers in my stomach. And, I have a electronic engineering background. And I was like, if that's my off switch, I'm going to use the bacon and eggs to hit it to see if I can't kill the cravings. So I made a kind of a deal with myself that I could order whatever I wanted, pizza, whatever. But first I had to eat the bacon and eggs until I was stuffed, give it an hour. And if I still wanted the pizza, then I could order it. And so I started doing that. And that little game I was playing with myself would buy me time. It would cut the cravings and get me through the anxiety attack. And lo and behold, then after I had the bacon and eggs, I'd live to fight another day and wouldn't succumb to the panic attack, And then on about day 5 or 6, I did that. And one day I woke up having a panic attack, but instead of wanting pizza and soda, my brain said, you need bacon and eggs. And I thought, well, that's a good sign. I've never woke up having an anxiety attack wanting bacon and eggs. So that got me to there. And 5.5 weeks later, basically, I finally got to where I stopped even drinking that lemon drink. And I just started doing BBB in water with no dairy. And that's what changed everything. That finally gave me the off switch that Lindy always talks about, of course. And yeah, I haven't looked back since. I haven't had anything but water, BBB and E, and occasionally some dairy on special occasions when I'm getting meat aversion or my appetite's dying. I use it as an appetite booster. But that was 22 months ago. In the first 6.5, 7 months, I lost 205 pounds.
Amazing.
And my heart rate went down to 68 beats a minute. My oxygen saturation went up. I got off oxygen, and my oxygen saturation went up to 96%, the highest I'd ever seen it. I'd never seen it that high even when I was 18 because I always had reactive airway disease. Color started coming back. My legs were still in rough shape from the lymphedema, but I started becoming way more mobile, moving around, had good color. Again, still used the CPAP, but it wasn't near as, I didn't have near as many incidences a night where I'd stop breathing. And yeah, that basically started me on that journey there.
That's amazing. I mean, your story is so much more in depth than I originally thought. I mean, I've heard you in other places talk too. And I just think it's amazing that you take responsibility for where you were. You're not throwing a pity party for where you were, and where you are now, you still have a lot of work to do. I want to ask you about, so your mom, your dad, your brother, everybody was overweight, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm one of 6.
Okay.
But pretty much 5 out of 6 of us are overweight. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question for somebody who comes from a family like that, and you've probably heard that some people now are saying that overweight and or obesity is genetic. And as somebody who comes from a family where you could easily look at the family and you could say, oh, this is definitely genetic. Look at, they're all overweight. But do you think it's that now, or do you think it's a learned behavior because you ate the same foods growing up? You all ate the same foods, you all ate the same way. So what do you think about people, about doctors? There's one doctor who is actually on the committee for the U.S. dietary guidelines. And I heard her speak about this in an interview on 60 Minutes, I think, saying that it's genetic and it doesn't matter. Diet, exercise, or lifestyle does not make a difference if you are genetically obese.
What I think it is I think there's a part to play. I do think, maybe some genetics matter a little bit, maybe. I don't know about the body types and stuff. I really haven't put that much thought into it. I do think what matters more is mitochondrial DNA. We can mess that up, and that can be hereditary. But the biggest thing for me, what I believe happens is I believe that it's all diet, but I believe that I believe that it's infant insulin resistance. I believe that, I've read some books about, which makes sense to me because I watch it. Like the brother that wasn't overweight, he's 21 years older than me. He's the oldest brother. I'm the youngest, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go down the line, we all got bigger
Yeah.
as we grew. Now, what coincides with that is mom diet went from very poor and eating off the farm and eating animals, eating animal products to eating processed food and sugar.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And when you watch that go, we all got bigger. And she had me when she was 39 years old. And when she was pregnant with me, she was drinking Coca-Cola, eating cake donuts and,
That's right.
cheesecake and all this garbage. So I ended up, I was like 300 pounds when I was 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I believe I was more insulin resistant.
Probably.
Yeah. And I believe that's what happens because insulin doesn't transfer to the baby, but the glucose does. And then that infant's pancreas has to put out adult sizes of insulin in the womb to deal with the glucose. And then you end up having insulin resistant infants. And that's what I think I was because I grew so quickly and I didn't eat a ton, but what I was doing was drinking a lot of soda because that was what our whole family lived on. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned like being in the womb because most people don't know this, and you probably get this comment all the time. I know I do. I know a lot of other people do about how being in ketosis isn't healthy. Being in ketosis isn't our natural state. And what's so interesting is that a baby is in ketosis in the womb. A baby is in ketosis when it's born. And as long as a baby is nursing, that baby is in ketosis. And so we snap that out of them by giving them formula where the number one ingredient is corn syrup solids. Or if you do nurse a baby until 6 or 8 months, we break that ketosis with a banana. We break that with oatmeal, with rice cereal, all the things that we're told to give a baby right off of nursing is something with carbohydrates in it. And so we are setting ourselves up for failure by doing that instead of giving them something high protein with fat in it as their first food. And I did it too. I mean, my kids never had baby food. It was always homemade stuff, but I definitely started with things like oatmeal, and bananas. And, they ate pretty healthy. My kids still eat pretty healthy, when you compare them to like the standard American diet. But we're setting everybody up for failure with the way we start people off. And so I love that you think that is why, because so many people make excuses and say, oh, it's genetic. I can't do anything about it. I'm overweight because my parents are overweight. And you obviously can do something about it.
For sure. I look at my family now. So my mom's now carnivore. We're trying to heal her Parkinson's. I'm fighting an uphill battle because she's 80. She's got gastric bypass, so she doesn't have a stomach. It's making it really hard to feed her enough food. And she's got Parkinson's. So, but she's getting better and she's she's lost a lot of weight. And then my sister who had the lap band, she's lost, and she's pretty short. My mom and my sister both, my sister's like 5'3" or something, 5'2", 5'3", and she's lost 71 pounds. And she's a new person. She's got her mobility back.
Amazing.
Which is great. And my brother has MS, and he's having a bunch of this. He was having vagus nerve problems and syncope, and he's passing out and stuff. And when he would every time he'd wake up, and he's been doing carnivore now about 13 months. And especially we got him on a lot of the carnivore bars actually because of the high fat in those.
Yeah, that's great.
He's doing fantastic. A lot of his dizziness, his syncope, his issues are going away, and he thinks it's making quite the difference.
That's awesome. So what does a typical day of eating look like for you now?
Well, eating is a little bit weird because I'm doing some extreme things.
Okay.
But
tell us, we want to know.
Okay. I eat 54 egg yolks every day.
Amazing.
That's because I had low testosterone, I had hormone problems, and the DHEA and the egg yolks is really healing my testosterone. So everybody thinks that's crazy, but I just put 18 egg yolks in a glass, which only takes up about 12 ounces, which is only about a can of soda. And I just treat it like a protein shake, and I just drink them 3 times a day. And I do 3 18-egg protein drinks a day. And that's boosting my testosterone and healing things. And then in addition to that, I'll do like an actual meal, which is usually 2 to 2.5 pounds of beef a day.
Okay.
And I don't even salt my food anymore. I don't need it. So I pretty much drink water, eat about 2 to 2.5 pounds, sometimes 3 pounds of beef a day, and 54 egg yolks. Now, I also only eat for 7 days, and then I fast for 7 days. So
okay.
I eat half of the days out of the month.
So how do you handle things like when you're with other people, when you're out, or how do you handle cravings and things like that? Do you have any?
I don't have cravings ever. I cook for many people. I don't have cravings. In fact, all the impulses, I have no addictions to anything. There's so many things when my hormones got right and my body healed that went away. I was a very compulsive person. I was a gambling addict for like 15 years. I've had a raging gambling addiction that I had under control for the last 5 years before I got sick, but it was always there. It was always on my back. I was addicted to caffeine, sugar, and nicotine, all those things. And when I went carnivore, all those things went away. I stopped. I chewed 2 cans of Copenhagen a day for 26 years. And about a year ago, my body just said, hey, we're not doing this nicotine anymore. I didn't even plan on quitting it. I just quit the Copenhagen October 26th last year, coming up on 1 year.
Amazing.
Cold turkey, and haven't had a craving for it since. The gambling addiction went away. I was on Vicariate Homestead How and Dr. Georgia Eade when she was putting out her book, and that was one of the things I was talking to her about. I'm like, how is this not being taught? Because my depression, anxiety completely went away, and all my compulsive behavior went away. I didn't realize it, but I think that was all hormonal imbalance. I really do.
Yeah, it could totally be. I mean, women go through a lot of depression and anxiety when they're going through menopause. I completely believe so many of those things are related to hormones. And then also so many of those things can be related to the toxicity of our lives and of our bodies and the products we're using. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. So what are your long-term goals as far as this goes? Like where do you see this going?
Well, I know that it's I don't underestimate eating proper food anymore because I've had so many things heal. Okay, so I've had 10 inches come off of my right calf of lymphatic impacted tissue that's not supposed to heal, right? And it has healed. My congestive heart failure is completely healed. I don't have any breathing issues or lung issues anymore. I don't have any anxiety or depression anymore. I sleep like a rock. And then not only am I completely mobile again, but I built a gym and now my body wants to move and lift heavy things every day. I wake up at 3:34 in the morning because my body wants to go lift, So I know, that this is completely different from a diet. This isn't a diet. My body's healing and I'm over all the addictions and compulsions. So it's just a matter of time now. It's only been 22 months. And so I still have 150 pounds probably to go. But, and I'm going to need a whole bunch of skin surgeries. But I know that now it's a matter of time because I don't have any issues I don't have any eating disorders. I don't
It's
have any,
amazing.
you know, so I just see it. I want to, I want to see how healthy I can get. I
Yeah.
have a lot of ideas like next summer. I mean, it takes time, but I'm working on getting a infrared sauna and a cold plunge tank and a
Hmm.
hyper oxygen chamber because I want to have those things in place before I get skin surgery because I want to throw everything at healing that skin and healing my
Yeah.
lymphatic
Hmm.
system. So I have to get a lymph sparing plastic surgery to remove the skin
Hmm.
without causing me some lymphatic issues. And then I just want to try to use any of those um, therapies to try to really heal my lymphatic system because that's the only thing that's really still bugging me.
Hmm.
Lymphedema, which has gotten exponentially better. I have a whole regimen that I do for it to treat it, which is one of the main reasons that I do 7-day fasting and
Hmm.
alternate dry fasting into those for the autophagy because it seems to really attack that lymph impacted lymphatic
Hmm.
tissue, and it really seems to heal my lymph system.
That's amazing. If you had a piece of advice for people who are struggling with the things you were struggling with, or people who are considering carnivore or the keto diet, what would that advice be?
Well, a lot of the things that changed for me was actually just getting kind of educated because when I started listening, I heard Gary Taub and Dr. Robert Lustig kind of lay it out for what was happening to our food environment. But when I heard that and understood how this was happening, it was the first time that I stopped just beating myself up. Till then, I just thought I was broken, defective, and there
Mhm.
was just no hope because there's something about me that was, you know, and when I finally started listening to what had happened to our food environment and what big food, big pharma had done to all of us to keep
Mhm.
us
Yeah.
in this rat race here, I stopped blaming myself, and that's kind of good. It's like if you have the wrong man in jail for a crime, you don't look for the right person anymore. So when I
Hmm.
believed that myself, I started actually looking at it with open eyes, and I could see that I've been lied to about a lot. Because
Right.
like I said, I was 600 pounds when I was 14, so I was listening to doctors and dietitians that all told me not to eat red meat and animal fat, and that was the exact thing that I needed. So I would say understand that we're being lied to,
Yeah.
understand that these people are not our friends, and that'll put you on the right road because that's important first because you're going to be up against I always say this now when I'm trying to help people, I'm dealing with a bunch of drug addicts now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
They get very mad at me
Hmm.
threatening their addictions,
Yeah.
right? When I say actually you need that meat, you need that fat, you got to get away from that sugar and that processed garbage. They don't like to hear that, so they
Yeah.
immediately take all the propaganda that they've been
Yeah.
completely buried with and they use it against you and they believe it,
Yep. They do.
So they got to free their mind and understand that things are not as they seem.
Yeah.
Not everybody, and I'm not here to say the doctors are trying to hurt you. It's just that they went through medical school
Mm.
and they've been indoctrinated with a program that has been bought and paid for by big food and big pharma and is
That's
a
right.
system that is designed to keep us right where we're at.
Hmm.
But just remember that, like Gary Taub says, 74% of the Earth's population is obese,
That's right.
overweight, and sick. So
We're doing something. It's not all genetics, right? I mean, we're doing something.
for sure, it makes a huge difference. And I'm watching it, just go through my family like a tidal wave now. People, everybody is reversing all these illnesses, all these metabolic diseases, all these,
Hmm.
just terrible things that they've been dealing with, and they're just melting away, and
Amazing.
you know, it's crazy to watch. I mean, even my dog's on carnivore. She stopped having seizures. You
Amazing.
know,
That's amazing. All right, Todd, this was awesome. I think your story is it's just incredible. Can you tell people where they can find you?
Yep, they can find me at the Carnivore Cure on YouTube, on Instagram. They can find me at Carnivore Cure on X, and I also do some calls with Bella at the Steak and Beer game.
Very cool. This was great, and I hope that we helped some people. I think that Carnivore has helped you with so many things that people out there could never even imagine that it could help them with. And so hearing your story hopefully will help them.
For sure. Oh, do you mind if I also, I don't know if you have one of these and we'll cut this out if you do,
Okay.
but I'm going to be speaking at Hack Your Health in Tampa this year. And
Yay.
they asked us to help them sell some tickets.
Yeah.
So if you're going to buy one, I have a coupon code, Hack Your Health. It's Carnivore, all capital letters. It gets you $100 off a ticket if you'd like to. So
Very cool. Congratulations on getting that. You deserve it. And you're going to have even a better story to tell by the time Hack Your Health comes around.
definitely hoping to definitely working that way. I'm trying to have, hopefully I'll have one skin surgery done or something.
Awesome. Can't wait. Thank you so much, Todd. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time on the Carnivore Revolution.